All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going deep, deep into Herman Melville's Moby Dick.
Moby Dick.
Yeah, Moby Dick. Now, I know what you might be thinking. A book about 19th century whaling? But hold on, trust me.
Okay.
This book, it's a total literary behemoth. It went from being a complete flop when it first came out to being considered, like this masterpiece.
Right.
And there's a reason why it still has readers totally hooked, even all these years later.
It's true. This book has some serious staying power. And I think to really get why Moby Dick is so powerful, we have to get what was going on in the world back then.
Okay, yeah, paint us a picture.
So imagine America in 1851.
1851.
Whaling, it wasn't just some industry, it was the industry. I mean, it was driving the economy. It was a source of national pride.
Wow.
Even artists and writers, they were drawing inspiration from whaling.
That's so interesting. It's like the gold rush, but on the ocean?
Exactly. You risk it all, life and limb for a chance at, well, a fortune, basically. And at the same time, you have all these huge ideas taking root in America. Westward expansion, the birth of democracy, and you can't forget this transcendentalism.
Yes, transcendentalism.
Thinkers like Emerson and Thoreau, they're telling everyone, look inward, embrace self-reliance, connect with nature. And Moby Dick, it comes right out of this really unique moment in history.
Okay, so we've got this nation that's on the move, both physically and intellectually.
Right.
And right in the middle of it all, boom, Herman Melville.
Herman Melville.
But he wasn't just some writer, dreaming up stories. He lived this life,
Yeah.
worked on whaling ships, sailed the high seas, saw the brutal power of nature firsthand.
Absolutely. His own experiences totally fueled his writing, but there's another piece to this.
What's that?
Melville, he was close friends with Nathaniel Hawthorne, another literary giant.
No way.
And Hawthorne, he really encouraged Melville to explore symbolism in his writing. Go beyond just telling the story. Find the deeper meaning,
So Hawthorne was like Melville's writing coach.
Yeah. In a way, yeah. But let's face it, being a writer back then, even with famous friends, not exactly a glamorous life.
Right.
Melville struggled financially, and that struggle, you can feel it in his work. This raw, almost desperate quality
I can see that.
adds a whole other layer to Moby Dick. And here's the crazy part.
Yeah.
When Moby Dick first hit the shelves, it was a total flop. Reviews were lukewarm, sales were dismal.
Ouch.
Can you imagine pouring your heart and soul into this epic tale, pushing boundaries, only to have it fall flat?
Talk about a blow to the ego. But I think we all know that's not where the story ends.
Oh, not at all.
So let's set sail on the Pequod ourselves.
Let's do it.
We've got Ishmael, our narrator, this ordinary guy who finds himself on this insane voyage.
Right.
And then, of course, there's Captain Ahab.
Oh, Ahab.
This man is absolutely consumed by his quest to get revenge on the white whale that took his leg.
And that obsession with Moby Dick, it goes so much deeper than simple revenge.
Really?
It's pride, it's rage, it's this almost spiritual need for retribution. It's both tragic and terrifying at the same time. Ahab's not just trying to kill a whale, he's trying to conquer something way bigger than himself, something he can never really control.
Okay, now I see why this book is more than just a seafaring adventure. We're talking about obsession, revenge, man versus nature themes that still feels so relevant today.
Absolutely.
I mean, think about it. We're still trying to figure out our relationship with the environment, how much we should push our ambition, and that desire to control the world around us.
And Melville was tapping into these universal truths way back in the 1800s.
Yeah.
It's like he was holding up a mirror to human nature, forcing us to look at our own flaws and obsessions.
And let's not forget about the white whale itself.
Ah, yes, the white whale.
It's not just some random sea creature, is it? There's something more going on there.
You're right, there's something much deeper going on.
So, spill the beans. What's the deal with this white whale? What makes it so important?
Well, the white whale, it's not just an animal, it's a symbol. It's like this blank canvas where we can project our own fears and desires.
Okay, I get the symbol part, but what does it symbolize?
Yeah.
What do you think Melville was trying to say with this elusive white whale?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. So we're talking about the white whale as this blank canvas for our fears and desires.
Right.
Well, even just the color white, it can mean so many things. Purity, innocence, even something divine.
Okay.
But it can also represent emptiness, the void, the unknown.
I see. So the white whale could be a symbol of the vastness of the universe, right?
Yeah.
Something we're both drawn to and terrified of.
Exactly. This powerful force of nature that we can try, but we can never really understand or control.
Yeah.
And remember, Melville was writing at this time when how people saw nature was changing, like big time.
Right, the Industrial Revolution.
Exactly. People started realizing, hey, we can exploit nature for profit, but what's that going to cost us in the end?
Oh, yeah.
It's like he was predicting the environmental problems we're dealing with now, Climate change,
Yeah.
pollution, overfishing.
Exactly. And in Moby Dick, Melville, he's showing us the dangers of this runaway ambition, this need to conquer and control nature.
Yeah.
Ahab chasing the white whale. It's like a warning showing us what happens when we let our need for control take over.
I get it.
But it's not just about the environment.
It's
This
not.
whole white whale idea, it applies to, like, everything. Careers, relationships, even the stuff we're battling inside ourselves.
I see. It's more like a metaphor.
Right. What are the white whales we're all chasing after in our own lives?
Ooh, that's a good question.
What do we obsess over? What are the goals we're always chasing, even when they might be leading us down a path we don't really want to be on?
That's snap.
It is. And Melville, through Ahab, he's making us face those questions head on.
And something else that really hit me about the book?
What's that?
The way Melville describes the whaling industry. So vivid. Like, you really feel the gruesomeness of the hunt, the hard labor, the sheer brutality of it.
Well, he's writing from experience, right?
Oh, yeah.
Remember, Melville worked in the whaling industry. He knew those dangers, the hardships, the toll it took on people, on the environment.
Right.
And he wanted to show that reality, strip away all that romanticized stuff people were saying about whaling at the time.
No sugarcoating. So it makes you think, if Melville were writing Moby Dick today, what industries would he be going after?
That's a good one.
What modern white whales would he be calling out?
Ooh, let's see. Maybe he'd be writing about the tech industry, our obsession with data, algorithms, AI.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Or maybe the financial world, all that greed and reckless stuff that led to the big crash back in 2008.
Right.
It's hard to say. But the main message, it would be the same, I think.
Awesome.
Watch out for runaway ambition. Be aware of what your actions can do. And remember, there are some things in this world that we just can't control no matter how hard we try.
So we're back to the white whale. It's like this force of nature, a symbol of the unknown, showing us our limits.
You got it. And in a way, that's a good thing.
Oh, how so?
It's humbling. We might want to conquer the world, chase all our dreams, but at the end of the day, there are forces bigger than all of us.
I never thought of it that way.
It's a good reminder that sometimes letting go can be just as important as pushing forward. But hey, let's talk about Moby Dick's legacy for a minute.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, think about it. This book, it was a flop when it came out, and now it's one of the most famous books in American literature.
It's amazing.
Shows how powerful Melville's storytelling is. Moby Dick, it still speaks to people generations later, and it's inspired so much other art too. Paintings, sculptures, movies, even operas.
I know, and speaking of inspiration, I read about this real-life event that might have inspired Melville himself.
Oh, what's that?
The sinking of the whale ship Essex back in 1820.
The Essex, yeah. Rammed and sunk by a giant sperm whale. That story really captured people's imaginations. Became like a warning about the dangers of whaling.
And you can definitely see some of that in Moby Dick, right? Ahab obsessed with the white whale, Pequod's doomed voyage.
Absolutely. It's like Melville took that real-life tragedy and wove it into his story.
So cool. It shows how much Melville's fiction was rooted in real life. His own experiences, the stories he heard, historical events.
And it's like he took all those brushes with the extremes of nature and human ambition and turned it into this epic tale that people are still fascinated by today.
That's the magic of Moby Dick. Fact and fiction, history and myth all mixed together, creating a story that's both timeless and totally relevant to our lives.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So as we keep diving into Moby Dick,
Yeah.
let's remember, we're not just looking at some old whaling story.
We're not.
We're exploring what it means to be human, our complicated relationship with nature, and the power that stories have to, stay with us.
One thing that really struck me about Moby Dick,
Mm.
Melville's language. It's not just like pretty writing. It's like, whoa, it's intense.
You're right. It's definitely not light reading.
Yeah,
Melville's writing is dense.
it is.
Long sentences that kind of wind all over the place.
I know.
Biblical references, even nautical terms.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's almost like he's making the reader slow down, like really savor each word
Right.
and really wrestle with these big ideas.
And there's a reason for that.
Oh, yeah.
It's like he's creating this whole other world. You get pulled in and you can't escape.
Totally.
And by making the language so rich, so layered, he takes what could be a simple adventure story and turns it into something much bigger. It's like a deep dive into life, death, the whole universe.
And it's not just the language that makes Moby Dick so captivating, right? The characters.
The character.
They're unforgettable. Absolutely.
It's like Melville put a whole cross-section of humanity on the Pequod. You've got Ahab, obsessed with revenge.
Of course, Ahab.
Starbuck, the voice of reason, trying to, like, keep Ahab in check.
Yes.
And then Ishmael just watching everything unfold, trying to understand it all.
And the whole crew of the Pequod. It's like this amazing mix of people, all different nationalities, backgrounds, beliefs.
Right, right.
And through them, Melville explores everything about being human. The good, the bad, all of it.
Yeah, it's like each character shows a different side of ourselves.
Yeah.
And how they interact, their conflicts, their victories, their losses. It feels so real.
It does.
So human.
And even though the story is set on a whaling ship way back when, the themes like ambition, obsession, searching for meaning, they're timeless. They're still relevant today.
Absolutely. And that's what makes a truly great book, right? It goes beyond its time and place, speaks to these universal truths we all experience.
Exactly. It stays with you. It makes you think about your own life, your own choices.
So as we wrap up our Moby Dick deep dive, what's the one thing you want listeners to take away?
That's a good question. I hope they'll feel inspired to pick up Moby Dick again, or read it for the first time. But this time, see its depth, its complexity, its lasting power. It's so much more than just a sea adventure.
It really is.
It's a reflection of ourselves, our struggles, our search for meaning in this crazy world.
It's a book that sticks with you.
It really does.
And maybe it'll even push you to face your own white whales, those things that drive you, challenge you, make you who you are.
I love that.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Moby Dick.
It's been fun.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, keep looking for those hidden gems of knowledge.
And insight.